On quickly following his retirement from the Crows, he's joining Richmond as an assistant coach. Now the 5AA forecast.
For Nestle Sustagen Hospital Formula. Stay strong, stay active.
A morning shower or two today, 18. Tomorrow mostly sunny, 19, and sunny for Saturday, 22. Then partly cloudy Sunday, also 22. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Call 5AA now to Talk Adelaide. 8223 0000. This is Peter Godfrey.
Good morning, 6 minutes past 5. Temperature we have at the moment, 13 degrees. A few spots of rain coming down now. Kez just rang to let me know he's out at Wingfield at the moment, and it's just started to spot down a bit there, and looks like a little bit in town too. The road's a bit wet outside, so careful on the roads. Could be a little bit slippery. Let's head to New Zealand, find out what's happening there. Selwyn Manning from livenews.co.nz. Selwyn, how are you?
Yeah, very good, Peter. A little bit of a head cold, but we'll get through it.
Oh, we've sent our bugs across the ditch to you as well.
But it looks like we're heading for a nice blue sky day in the Auckland area of New Zealand anyway, and probably peaking at around about 18 degrees, I'd say, Peter, this afternoon.
Same as ours. We're heading for that as well. So we're matching again. Hey, just quickly, are you a big lover of lamb? Do you like a good old lamb roast?
Well, I heard what you said just before about the Kiwis. You know, our statistics about eating lamb is right up the top there. I suppose in some ways it's understandable. There's about 45 million lamb or sheep in the country. But, got me thinking, really, I suppose. Maybe we're all weaned on chewing on a lamb chop or something,
Maybe, yeah, quite possibly, yeah. So these figures, sort of 22 or 23 kilos per capita a year in New Zealand. We're about 12 kilos a year. So,
well, that's just a huge difference. Yeah. And I heard you say that in the UK it's about 4 kilos a year or something.
4.7. Yeah, I would have thought that would have been a bit higher.
And obviously the United States market needs wakening up to the good old lamb roast.
Yeah, well, this all started. As I said, the US ambassador to the UK said he's fed up with being served lamb. It's obviously not a big dish there. Per capita, about half a kilo in the US. So, yeah, there's a market. Amazing. There's a market to be exploited. Lamb to the US.
I would have thought that Australia and New Zealand would have been quite on par with that, but clearly not.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, well, there you go. Maybe the lamb that we're keeping back here on this side of the ditch, Peter, is a little bit better than what we're exporting. Maybe that'll be a shocker to realise.
You've got the good stuff.
You've got the good stuff.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get on to some good stuff, some dirty stuff. Well, we've, in recent weeks, spoken to you, you've told us about this book, Dirty Politics and All the Fallout. It's still going on, is it? There's still more fallout coming from this?
Yeah, it is. It's been a firestorm, really, particularly in the first 2 weeks of the campaign, and we're into the third week now. It's just concluding. So it's back onto policy now, Peter, but in the wake of all of the dirty politics allegations, we've seen, and this is since we last talked, that's caused the Minister of Justice, Judith Collins, to resign. We've seen the Inspector General of Intelligence and Security initiate an investigation into how intelligence documents were released to the national-led government's attack blogger and in record time. And the Prime Minister, he himself has initiated a government inquiry into allegations that the Minister of Justice, Judith Collins, clandestinely organised a blog-led hit on the head of the Serious Fraud Office while she was Minister of Police. When I say hit, I'm not talking about killing the guy, talking about a systematic, organised method of trying to undermine his ability as the head of the Serious Fraud Office. Now, that's the allegation. I'm not saying that that's fact, and that's under investigation.
Okay.
So that's what's gone on in the last couple of weeks since we talked, Peter. And with the national-led government, really, facing these allegations of corruption, and that's what the allegations are, they point directly also to a staff member and the staff in the Prime Minister's office, right in the heart of government. Now, you would think in normal situation here that the Nationals that led the government would be in free fall in the polls.
Not the case?
Peter, they haven't been. They've taken a hit. They've sunk down from around the 50% mark. This is in the poll of polls, I suppose. Some polls are showing that they're actually increased. But overall, it looks like they've sunk down from around the 50% support mark to 45. Round about there, 46, 45, 44.5 kind of region. But then Labor has too. The main opposition party has lost ground. It now hovers somewhere way down in the 25 to 28% support, depending on the poll. So the main beneficiaries of all of this dirty politics allegations, it seems, are the centrist parties, and that's New Zealand First, a nationalistic kind of party that's positioned right smack in the centre of New Zealand politics, and the Conservatives, which are outside of Parliament and have been rising up the last couple of elections, led by a guy called Colin Craig, who in his own right has been quite controversial in the sense that he was asked last year whether or not he thought that the NASA astronauts landing on the moon, walking on the moon, whether or not that was a conspiracy theory, and he kind of says, well, you can't rule out that conspiracy theory. And then he's kind of slipped into the same kind of thing about the theories of chemtrails, whether or not governments have been dumping chemicals and things on populations and stuff like that. So he's become known as the politician of conspiracy and moon landings with a big question mark and chemtrails. And so anyway, Colin Craig and those guys have been working really hard to get their reputations more solid. And as such, out of the dirty politics, it seems those that have been undecided and some that have moved away from the Nationals are thinking, well, we still want John Key and his people to be governing the country, so we'll give the Conservatives a tick and we'll give New Zealand First a tick because they look like they'll probably keep the government honest.
Okay. Interesting. They've had a debate too, the two leaders, have they?
Yes, they have.
David Cunliffe and John Key?
I should say too that the Green Party has also been a benefactor.
Oh, okay.
In this. It's probably due to the Green Party here, and I think in Australia too, it's kind of looked at as very much a clean shot in the sense that they're not going to get down into the gutter in their politics, they kind of stand above it. Certainly over here it's...
it's a bit... some feel that the Greens could be a bit dirty here, but, policy-wise anyway.
We'll try and keep our lot immune from that then, Peter.
Yeah.
We'll keep them looking over this side instead of looking across for inspiration on your side.
Yeah.
But the leaders' debate, now that hit last night. It was the National Party leader, John Key, and he went head-to-head with Labor Party leader David Cunliffe, and as expected, it was a very close contest. Both leaders talking at their opponents, taking it to the opponents, really, really, really trying to actually score some big political hits on the other. The focus of the debates, and right through soon as policy started to be discussed in this election, it's all about the economy. It's about fiscal policy, that's relating to taxation and all of that type of thing. And housing has been big here because the cost of housing in Auckland in particular and in Christchurch has been just climbing beyond, at rates beyond the ability of Kiwi workers, Kiwi families to be able to really assume that they can afford to have a home of their own in their own country. And that's really how it's become extremely dire. Like, houses in Auckland Central, a humble family home, you people are having to now pay over $1 million for those. A home not far from where I'm living at the moment, a humble 4-bedroom weatherboard home of about 80-year vintage, but done up nicely. $1.4 million it sold for this week.
Wow.
So that gives you an idea of the prices. And the Kiwi salaries, remember, are a lot lower than Australia by capita. So those are the big issues here. Now, Cunliffe, that's the Labor leader, David Cunliffe, he spoke strongly in detail on that fiscal prudence area, meaning because they've been under attack, Labor has, that they get into the government, they're going to be the big spender. They want to spend everything, look after everybody, and basically exhaust the country's coffers. And so David Cunliffe is speaking very, very persuasively in his own right about the detail and the fiscal prudence, and the first priority being balancing those books, getting the government accounts in order. He indicated too, really strong visions in the plan on how to get the New Zealand domestic economy up a notch. Spoke about social equity, fairness of ideals. That fairness really came into it, where they're really painting that the national-led government has been unfair to large sectors of New Zealanders, particularly those from middle income down. Labor's saying that won't occur under them, that it's going to be fair at all levels of New Zealand society. He talked about how they would achieve that. The Nationals, John Key, the leader, Prime Minister, of course, he spoke of strong, stable government, and that was his key line, strong, stable government, that has been in evidence for 6 years, has navigated New Zealand through this financial crisis that the globe has suffered, and how those policies that National has advanced over those 6 years ought to be continued, and how New Zealand is on the cusp of something special. And that was his big thing. We're on the cusp of something special. He didn't indicate what that something special was.
I was going to say, did he say what the special was?
No, he's keeping that one as a joker card in his back pocket there. He's going to... People are thinking, is he going to pull out and indicate what that something special is? Well, not last night he didn't.
Okay, so, just a teaser.
That was an interesting one.
So neither stood out as the clear winner of that debate?
No, the pundits, right across the country are pretty much calling it even. And, John Key is so slick, Peter, that I think the best that the opposition parties could hope for was for David Cunliffe to basically hold in there. The New Zealand Herald, interestingly so, had 4 pundits actually commentating on it. 3 of them called it for David Cunliffe. 1 of them called it for John Key. Okay. Oh, sorry, I should say 2 of them called it for Cunliffe. 1 called it for John Key, and the other one said it was dead even.
Okay, very close. So it's Saturday week, isn't it? Voting?
Yeah, it is. 7 p.m. Saturday, September the 20th. That's when the polling booths will shut. Kiwis can already vote now. There's new laws that allow them to vote nice and early if they so choose to. They're going to be away, etc.
Okay, yep.
And it's made it a lot easier.
Okay. Getting cast. Next week will be an interesting one then. So we just need to have a break, but let's have a quick break. We'll come back, talk a bit about rugby, the Wallabies and the All Blacks.
Okay, Peter.
Be right back with you. Selwyn Manning from livenews.co.nz with us. It's 17 minutes past 5.
Leon Biner.
South Australia needs a hell of a shunt along to lift its game. The smart procurement policies of the Economic Union in Europe would go a long way to achieve this. This is where governments favour local industries with taxpayer dollars to innovate and stimulate jobs. It's no good just saying, we can't compete with low-cost economies, so let's just give up and we'll all mow lawns.
Leon Biner, weekday mornings from 9 on 1395, Adelaide's 5AA.
Imagine losing the ability to make your own decisions about your life, where you live, and your ongoing healthcare. It's a frightening thought, but any of us through illness or injury could lose the ability to make decisions for ourselves. There is a way to continue to have a voice. It's called an Advance Care Directive. An Advance Care Directive gives those caring for you a clear understanding of your needs and wishes in case you can't express them yourself. To create an Advance Care Directive, visit advancecaredirectives.sa.gov.au.
A message from the Government of South Australia.
Time for another top deal from Nordic Honda, top of Glen Osmond Road. Right now you can receive an amazing price on all new limited edition Honda CR-V from just $33,490. You heard right. The all-new Honda limited edition two-wheel drive CR-V from just $33,490. Top that. Limited edition two-wheel drive Honda CR-V from $33,490 and four-wheel drive CR-V from $36,990.
Another top deal from the top of Glen Osmond Road. Nordic Honda.
Nordic Honda.
If you're building, renovating or extending your outdoor living area, there's one surefire way to ensure the tradespeople you're using know their stuff. Ask them if they intend to use bone timber. Because if they're not, how can you measure the quality? You can't. Bone timber is hand-picked from responsibly managed forests. It simply means you're getting timber that meets stringent standards, not just in its quality, but in its sustainability. Bone Timber, 856 South Road, Edwardstown. Timber for today and for tomorrow.
Your outdoor entertaining area can be fabulous all year round with a little help from Shade Tech, formerly Blind Tech. Shade Tech can fit you out with superior quality outdoor blinds and awnings, keeping your outdoor area cooler in summer and warmer in winter. And unlike other places, you won't pay the earth for them. There's no middleman, just superior quality blinds at very affordable prices. The Zip Track range is versatile and will suit any style. Enjoy the great outdoors all year round. Call 8283 3477 or visit shadetech.net.au.
You want shoes? Major brands, latest fashions, ladies and men's? Get into Shoe Shed, because Shoe Shed has them all. With new season styles arriving daily. Formal and funky shoes, casual and comfy shoes. Adelaide's biggest range at the best prices. Treat your feet at Shoe Shed. 7 stores, all proudly SA family owned and operated. Locations at shoeshed.com.au.
Talking Adelaide with Peter Godfrey.
on 1395 5AA.
20 minutes past 5. We're taking a look at things happening in New Zealand. Selwyn Manning from livenews.co.nz is with us. And Selwyn, Leader's called in with just a question. You mentioned about house prices in Auckland. Leader's got a question about that. Leader, good morning.
Oh, good morning, gentlemen. I wonder why they have gone up so high. Is it because of overseas investment?
Yeah, it's a complex one. I mean, that's the allegation that there's been a lot of buy-in from foreign investors, foreign speculators, realising that New Zealand has no capital gains tax on its second properties, if you like. So if you had a family home, the opposition parties are saying that if you have a family home and you sell it, that would not be subjected to capital gains tax under their policies. But if you had a second home and you sold it, that would be. But at the moment, there is none. Linda, there's no capital gains tax. So New Zealand is one of the few countries in the developed world that has its housing market exposed to foreign investment by having no tax on the sale of those homes or the speculation of those homes. So there's a lot of talk about that. What makes it difficult to really pinpoint it is that the government here in New Zealand has no data and has no mechanism of gauging how much foreign investment is affecting the housing market. In Auckland, it's seen too as the centre of economic growth in the country in some way. So you get quite a demand for people wanting to live in Auckland. New migrants coming in, they want to basically settle in Auckland at first. And of course, when Kiwis come home from overseas with their new families, young children, etc., we find a trend where they come to Auckland as well. And so that pushes the demand up in the region and pushing the prices up beyond what people can really afford.
I was going to suggest perhaps there should be a referendum in New Zealand about becoming a state of Australia.
Yeah, I think when John Howard was leader, there was talk of should New Zealand and Australia go under one kind of currency, and I know that there was a robust debate about that, and I think over this side of the ditch there was questions about whether or not we would like seeing a kangaroo on our $10 note or something like that. But, there might be sense to seeing it iron out a bit.
But when the Federation was formed in Australia, New Zealand was asked if they'd like to become a part of Australia. Did you know that?
Yeah, that was way back. So it's interesting histories there, and I think clearly there are two separate national identities around the two countries. But I guess if you look over time, in the 80s there was the closer economic relations that kicked in. Yeah. New Zealanders and Australians, we kind of enjoy that ability to be able to go into each other's countries without too much hassle at the border. There's some inequalities about, Kiwis not getting the same kind of rights as Australians back in Australia if they raise their children there compared to over here. But, that's supposed to be being worked on at political level. Whether or not it gets some gains, who can tell? But, the housing crisis is a huge issue here. And, of course, with the earthquake in Christchurch back in 2011, the rebuild in Christchurch has been going on for 4 years, but there's still people living down in Christchurch in destroyed homes, condemned homes. Some people living in tents still 4 years later, and the government really hasn't been able to get the insurance companies to cough up that money that they owe, families basically to get their lives back in order. And so there's an imbalance there. Those who are able to get their homes built, or those homes, the land is it's almost priceless now. It's because if it's on good land as opposed to destroyed land from the earthquake, then the prices are huge. So there's a couple of anomalies running there, like we discussed in Auckland, and certainly down in Christchurch.
Thank you. I always look forward to your comments.
Thanks for your call, Leader.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. There we go. Yeah, so what sort of price are you saying for an average sort of four-bedroom home in Auckland? 1.2 million.
That wouldn't be the average. The average is down, quite a lot from that. Okay. So Auckland's kind of a huge isthmus, and out in the outer suburbs, the prices are lower. But in the centre part of Auckland, in the inner city suburbs, and certainly those in the next ring of it, the prices have been going up, Peter, for some years now. And I was just quoting, like a fairly humble family home, about it's about 8 kilometres, 10 kilometres from the centre of the city, went at auction just a couple of days ago for $1.4 million.
Okay,
And that's on a smaller than a quarter-acre section.
Okay.
And it wasn't just that wasn't just the exception. In the same week, there was another one that probably needed a little bit of a do-up for $1.2 million on a section slightly smaller than a quarter acre.
It's a big mortgage. That's a big mortgage. Phew.
Big mortgages. You almost got to get a mortgage to pay the mortgage. That's
exactly.
The situation.
Yeah. Hey, let's get on to the rugby before we run out of time. The Wallabies beat the Springboks just. Here the other day.
I've got to say, that's no small feat.
Yeah.
Those Springboks guys, I mean, they're a powerhouse.
Yeah.
So you guys are winning 24-23, Peter.
Yeah, one.
That's great. If the All Blacks did it 24-23 with the Springboks, this place would be cheering from the rafters.
Yeah. Well, you got the Springboks this weekend.
Yes.
He says with enthusiasm.
Yes, we have got them this weekend, and I know that there's a lot of this watching the Springboks because, knowing that team, they got beaten by Australia, they'll be thinking there's no way they're going to be beaten again.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a very good game. As the All Blacks said this week, Peter, that every time they play the Springboks, the next day they are very, very sore and aching all over because they're such a powerful, big team. You guys that watched that game between the Australian Wallaby team and the Springboks, the South African team last weekend, you would see that they're a powerful, they're a big, right into the back line. They're big guys. And so that the All Blacks, they're certainly trying to work on how they're going to beat the Springboks after the Springboks have a loss, they'll fire back.
Yeah. Well, good. And it's what, the 88th time they faced them?
It's the 88th time in history that the All Blacks will be playing, and apparently it's the game is in Wellington anyway on Saturday, and the Wallabies, for those who are following that, were interested, the Wallabies, your own, will be playing Argentina and their team. The Argentinian team is called the Pumas. And this competition amongst Australia, South Africa and New Zealand, which used to be the Tri-Nation International Championships, has included Argentina now. So to have a very strong Southern Hemisphere kind of component to it. And you can see the Pumas getting better by the year because of that exposure to our three teams.
Okay.
So this competition will conclude in a few weeks' time. So that's where it's heading to.
All right. Good on you, Selwyn. Thank you for joining us this morning. Good talking to you. Have a great week, and we will talk to you next week ahead of your election.
Take care.
Thanks, Selwyn. Selwyn Manning in New Zealand. Head to livenews.co.nz for more.
The SANFL IGA League Final Series continues at Adelaide Oval this Sunday when Port Adelaide Magpies battle South Adelaide in the preliminary final. Action kicks off at 2:40. Who will meet Norwood in the SANFL IGA League Grand Final? Adults only $15. Visit sanfl.com.au for more info. So bring your mates, bring the kids and bring it on, because